Uncle Nearest. I'm a huge fan of the Uncle Nearest brand, and they are currently being sued. And I sincerely hope that this doesn't take away from the brand itself. Now, I'm going to go through and explain to you a little bit about what the lawsuit entails. Well, I'm going to get some creators that I think are very thorough, very knowledgeable, and know a lot about the subject to talk about it. And I'm just going to react to their comments. So here we go. First person I got on here is Fawn Weaver. She's actually the CEO and owner of the brand. Now, Fawn Weaver, she can't speak too much about this, but they're getting sued for over $100 million. That's some bread. Now, the reason I'm so interested in this right here is because I know they just brought an area in the Cognac region of France, and I thought they was going to have some Cognac come out. Now, I'm a lover of the brand, as you could tell. You see all the bottles that I have. But I thought this might hold them back a little bit. So we're going to talk about whatever Fawn has to say first. Let's go ahead and let her talk.
The first to speak seems right until someone comes forward and cross-examines. Proverbs 18:17. Well, my response has been filed, and I trust the truth will now get just as much attention on social media and in the press as the intentional misleadings and hit pieces. Y'all, I had hit pieces. That is kind of cool. Make sure to read the emails attached as exhibits. They're doozies. But before you go and read that, since so many eyes are on me right now, I'll take a page from Winston Churchill and Warren Buffett. Never waste a good crisis. So let me run some stats for you, then I've got a request. Uncle Nearest is the only independent whiskey brand in the top 50 and one of the few spirit brands, period, seeing double-digit growth in revenue, volume, and velocity. Over the past week or so, I've traveled the country meeting with our customers, distributors, and Uncle Nearest enthusiasts. The first stop was the DMV, where our year-over-year growth is 44%. Then I went to Ohio, where our growth is sitting at 38%. Then Texas, where we've grown 33%, 50% in July alone. And Georgia, where I just left a couple days ago, y'all are just showing out at 49% year.
All right, so I'm not going to listen to all those stats and everything, but she is making the best out of what's going on because, you know, they get on gag orders and stuff. When you have lawsuits, you just can't openly talk about everything. And getting sued for $100 million is not a small feat. And something major got to be wrong if somebody's saying they need 100 M's back. It's crazy. Now, being that they're Black owned, it's hard to believe that if you own something, you could be sued for $100 million. Then that's what comes with a lot of these problems with being a liquor company themselves. Like you're tied to people that can sue you because you have to borrow so much money, and it's a tough business to be in. So yeah, it's a Black owned brand, but if somebody can take conservatorship and sue you and things like that, is it really yours? It's theirs technically, but you know, is it? Now, this next creator that I'm gonna bring on is Kevin C. He's a really strong bourbon enthusiast, and he knows a lot about bourbon. So I respect his opinion about the bourbon world because he loves it, he breathes it, and he has a little thought about the
$108 million fight for Uncle Nearest continues. We have had additional legal actions, and not a great quote from the judge. Just to catch you up, on July 28th, Farm Credit Mid-America filed a lawsuit against Uncle Nearest Distillery, claiming that they had defaulted on over $100 million in loans. This includes the misrepresentation of collateral and the misuse of loan funds. Because of this, they are seeking a receivership over the distillery, where essentially they come in and they take over. The owners and fearless leaders of Uncle Nearest, they deny the wrongdoing. They deny financial problems. They say that this was something that was caused by their ex-chief financial officer, and they assert that they have been financially transparent, and of course, they are opposing the receivership and looking for a more amicable way to pay back this debt. Obviously, the complaint has been filed. The fight over whether or not they're going to have a receiver has happened, and the court is still weighing that. In the meantime, the judge did order to preserve collateral, essentially freeze their assets until they figure out what they're going to do. What is the collateral that they're preserving to make sure that the lender doesn't get hurt? You guessed it, it's their whiskey. Is this whole thing unusual? Obviously, it's unusual. Usually, things like this get resolved in the background, and they are typically not at this scale, nor are they this public. But it's not uncommon to see distilleries struggling right now. We've seen it at every level, from craft all the way to the big dogs.
So he told you straight up, this is a time where the distilleries are struggling. So it's just sad that they put them on Front Street. It seems like it happens that way for some of us, you know. But the thing is, the collateral itself is crazy. Like, how you get all the barrels? Like, you just freeze all the assets. That's the barrels of liquor. So that is basically your whole company. If you freezing all the liquor and that's what you primarily selling, what else assets there is? So that's just crazy to me.
The call to action from Fawn to clear the shelves of their whiskey and their inability to make their loan payments are obvious signs that Uncle Nearest is not doing very well. To make things worse, the judge did characterize Uncle Nearest as being out over their skis on this one. Next big step is what is going to happen with the receivership. Formal receivership of this scale is apparently pretty uncommon, particularly when you can freeze assets like they've done with their barrels of whiskey. But anything could happen. We are certainly going to get orders to disclose more information on both sides, and we are certainly going to get more negotiations behind the scene, and we will almost certainly get more social media posts. No matter what, this is obviously going to draw a lot of market and media scrutiny. There are other investors, there are other businesses that are tied to Uncle Nearest Green Distillery. Only time will tell. When we hear from the judge, we get another ruling, whatever, I'll let you guys know. Cheers.
And that's a big problem when you borrow money, man. Like, you got too many people in your business and you can't do business the way you want to do business and things like that. Every little thing that you do, they're going to be nosing into what you want to do. I think Uncle Nearest brought like a winery or something like that, but they didn't put it under the Uncle Nearest brand. And they cost a significant amount of money, like several millions of dollars. And that particular company that's suing them for the $108 million, they're like, hey, they can't put their hands on that, but they borrow money from us and they're putting different things on the different entities. Now, that's just hearsay, something that I heard that happened. And when you borrow money from people, they're going to freeze your assets because they want their money back. You can't just sit on your hands and say, hey, I disclosed this to you. Because what happened was, I believe that that Uncle Nearest found out about a rogue employee or a rogue CFO was cooking the books and they didn't know. So they actually told the lenders what happened. And they informed them. That's why they say it was so transparent. But being transparent is not paying the money back. And that's an issue in itself. So to me, it's like, man, they got ahead of their skis for real because they're growing so fast. They was pushing the brand. And that's good, though, to actually be ambitious and push your brand to the next level. But to be honest with you, man, hey, slow growth is still growth. So we'll go ahead and see about this next creator. I think her opinion is very valuable. It's a little lengthy and long, but she does thorough work. Her tag name is I'm not a lawyer, and she does very thorough investigating work. Normally, she does it on cases and stuff like murder trials and Diddy trials and stuff like that. But she likes to read stuff and get into it.
Uncle Nearest, the Black-owned and woman-owned whiskey brand, which was named as the fastest-growing whiskey in U.S. history, according to Forbes, is being sued. And I'm not a lawyer, but I read the documents, so let me tell you why the financial company says that Uncle Nearest owes them over $100 million, and why the Uncle Nearest company has replied saying, yes, we do owe y'all, but we told y'all that, and it's not our fault. Let's talk about it.
See, that right there is an issue for me. They told them, and it's not your fault. No, it is your fault. You are the CEO. You are the owner of the brand. It's always going to be your fault. You got to be in charge of your employees. You got to be in charge of everything. You got to be the head of the house. You got to take care of it all. So the excuse of it's not my fault when you're doing business on this scale, it's not a good excuse.
So for context, Uncle Nearest is a whiskey brand that was founded in 2017 by a husband and wife duo named Fawn and Keith Weaver, and the brand's name comes from a former enslaved man named Nathan Nearest Green, who was the first known African-American master distiller and the one who taught Jack Daniels how to make whiskey. Okay then. So from 2017 until now, the company has had massive success. It's currently found in over 30,000 stores, bars, hotels, and restaurants in over 50 US states and 12 countries. And now they've been hit with this lawsuit. So in July of this year, Farm Credit Mid-America, which is a lending company, filed a lawsuit against Uncle Nearest alleging a few things, and I'm going to highlight the main three. So number one, Farm Credit Mid-America says they've loaned Uncle Nearest over $100 million and the company has stopped making payments on those loans. They say the first loan was given to them in July of 2022 and it was for $35 million. But over the course of a year, the amount of the loan was increased 7 times until it eventually hit $67 million. So in total, that first loan was for $67 million. The second loan, which was issued around that same time, was for $20 million. And then the third loan was issued about 6 months later, and that one was for $15 million. So when you
That's a lot of money to be borrowing and growing your brand at the same time. It's just like they just opened up the bank for them. It feels like it's a hit piece because like it feels like they gave them all the money, allowed them to grow the brand and run as fast as they can just to take it all from them. That's what it feels like to me. I'm not 100% sure. If you loan somebody $100 million, you got some paper or you got a bigger player. So it is what it is. They say they had the assets and you'll see that she says they don't have the assets.
You add all that up, plus interest, and then subtract any of the payments that Uncle Nearest has made, Farm Credit Mid-America says that Uncle Nearest currently owes them $108,245,828.22. And they want their money and they want it now. Okay, reason number two that Farm Credit is suing Uncle Nearest is because they say the only reason they agreed to loan Uncle Nearest all of this money is because they told them they had a bunch of barrels of whiskey in inventory that could be used as collateral. But the problem, according to Farm Credit, is that Uncle Nearest lied about how much inventory they actually had. Follow me. So according to the paperwork, Farm Credit agreed to keep increasing that first loan because Uncle Nearest told them that they had 77,000 barrels of whiskey on hand. And so the agreement with collateral is that if Uncle Nearest ever stops making their payments for the loan, Farm Credit can pull up and grab those 77,000 barrels of whiskey. But now that it's come time to pull up because Uncle Nearest isn't paying their loan, Farm Credit has learned that Uncle Nearest doesn't actually have all those barrels of inventory.
And that's crazy to me that somebody would loan you something without checking if they have the damn 77,000 barrels of whiskey. Now, 77,000 barrels of whiskey is worth $100 million. That is insane. I'm trying to do the math. Like, how many bottles can you get out of a barrel? And is there companies like I was thinking about like all the like the Buffalo Trace brand and the Wild Turkey brand? How many barrels of whiskey do they have? Because Uncle Nearest is pretty small compared to like Jack Daniels and those other two brands that I named. I'm like, God, dog, we drink a lot of damn liquor.
They have about $21 million less than that, and Farm Credit is not happy. All right, moving on to reason number 3 that Farm Credit is suing, and it's because, according to them, Uncle Nearest agreed to use about $2 million from one of their loans to purchase a property in Martha's Vineyard. It was going to be an Uncle Nearest property, and the purpose of it was to host branding events and to rent to other distributors for co-branding opportunities. Now that sounds all good, but the problem, according to Farm America, is that after Uncle Nearest received the money, they then created a brand new company, a new LLC, to purchase the Martha's Vineyard property. In layman's terms, and why this is a problem, is because legally, this Martha's Vineyard property is not owned by Uncle Nearest. It's owned by this new LLC they created, UN House MV LLC.
And so typically, since Uncle Nearest has stopped paying back this loan, Farm Credit would be able to foreclose on this property, kick them out, take the property back, and hopefully sell it to recoup some of their losses. But in this instance, since the house isn't owned by Uncle Nearest, Farm Credit doesn't have much recourse to do anything. The house isn't in Uncle Nearest's name, and Farm Credit didn't lend the money to Ewan House MV LLC. And so Farm Credit says that this little switcheroo was a violation of their agreement, and that's why they're suing. Hopefully that made sense. So that's their lawsuit, and Uncle Nearest has responded regarding the $21 million inventory discrepancy.
So that's what I was talking about with the Martha's Vineyard. So I guess they took $2 million of loan money and just started a whole nother company. I don't know how legal that is. They'll work that out themselves, but I think that's kind of like kind of weird acting business practices to me. I would say all this borrowing money and things like that, man, grow slow and just grow. We rock with you, Uncle Nearest. That's just what we do. You know, I love the brand. You come out as you are. We're gonna represent. We're gonna buy the brand. We're gonna drink it up. You know, so I don't see why pushing it so fast. Like I thought it was kind of fast because they started talking about cognac and buying regions in cognac and stuff like that. I was like, dang, that's dope. I knew they were selling a lot because a lot of people talk about the brand itself, but I didn't know that they was just borrowing so much money to keep pushing it to the next level. And sometimes you got to do that. Like Facebook did it. I guess all these super social media apps, they normally get funded because they normally operating at a zero cost and they normally get funded like that. But you got to be straight up with people. Like putting the Vineyard, if they feel that might be wrong, that's probably your biggest stakeholder, and $100 million is a lot. So they probably, and then Farm America might just need that money. So they might just be trying to make a play to get that money back because they need their money. They figured out an excuse to call the loan so they can get their money. They might be hurting. They might have jumped over their skis a little bit. They probably don't have the assets they thought they had, and this is the only cash out they got. Especially when you're missing payments, they looking for an opportunity to take something from somebody. So here's Fawn Weaver with her last response of after everything happened, the judge did sign over the receivership. So they are in receivership. Somebody's looking over them. The reason being is because they just didn't take care of what they said it was. They said it's not their fault. Like those excuses is not good business excuses. So here's her response to the receivership.
What the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good. Y'all know I'm under a gag order because so many have reported it, but here's what I know I can say. 2 points, and make sure to share this since lies tend to spread faster than the truth. Number 1, keep clearing the shelves. Every bottle you move tells our distributors and partners the same thing. We've built one of the strongest and most resilient brands in American history. Number 2, don't believe the fake news. Some reports claim I no longer own Uncle Nearest, that I'm not running it. Let me be clear. I built this company, I own this company, I run this company. And my leadership team, who have all been with me for 6 to 8 years, are right here building alongside me. Our team remains unshaken and unmoved. If that ever changes, you'll hear it directly from me, and I know you will respond accordingly. All major challenges are inevitable in ownership. That's why so many tap out. And my number 1 piece of advice to would-be entrepreneurs is, if you are of the quitting kind, don't start, because entrepreneurialism will give you 100 reasons a day to quit. But strong leadership doesn't panic. It keeps a steady hand and moves forward. From the start, I've shared the ups and downs of building Uncle Nearest. That transparency is a part of my calling. That is what built one of the strongest brand communities in American history. That's why they call me the People CEO. Because I don't just show the gloss, I show the grind, the grit, the gunk. All right, we got those 2 points out of the way. Let's get to the fun part. What y'all are doing across the country. In a year where spirits are down, we're moving in the opposite direction, and we have been for the past year. Illinois, y'all are up 216% this month, 21% year to date.
Okay, we're not going to get into those stats again. We're going to let that ride. But like she said, a year when the spirits are down, they are up. Like the whole liquor community and the liquor business itself, like spirits are just down right now. This is a down year. It's not like COVID 2020, 2021 when everybody was home and can have a drink and can explore different things because they couldn't go out. So they started exploring different things. But right now, she is showing resilience. And if you have anything to take from this situation is watch her, man. Watch her. Watch how a CEO is supposed to work. Watch how they're supposed to get the job done. So we can see her come away with this and be just as big and much better, or we can see her crumble. As you can see, she's standing strong and tall. But if you're in business and anything like that, man, I want y'all to take a good look at Bitcoin. You see what I got on, like maybe save your money in Bitcoin. You won't have to borrow so much because the borrower is slave to the lender. And what you see here is like she has to have gag orders. She can't speak freely. She can't do certain things because she want her brand to thrive. So that sucks for her because these people are calling the loan and it's kind of messing her up a little bit with pushing her brand forward. But still, support the brand, as she said. And that's what I know. That's what I've seen. And that's my comments on the Uncle Nearest lawsuit. Hope they win. I hope they get back to regular business practice. Thank y'all for tuning in. Yes, sir.